Hello guys. This is What If Naruto Unsealed His Legacy Part 2 Halcyon Days. Let's begin with the story.
Aizen was a pleasant person, at least he painted himself as such. Naruto didn't know why, but he, Kurama, and Itachi were instantly wary of the man. In spite of that, he didn't voice a word of protest when Aizen asked him to move to Fuin Division dormitory. It was just reasonable that a teacher would want his disciple to be contactable anytime, and devoted most of their time in their study. Naruto didn't have that much attachment to his old apartment anyway, at the very least the new place won't be devoid of life. And oh boy, how wrong he was. The dormitory was located in a tower, on the west side of North Forest. Apparently it was pretty close to the city. The dormitory room, or rather an apartment, looked pretty much the same as his old apartment, and insultingly larger with queen-size bedroom. The bathroom and kitchen were inside too. The difference was, it looked so bare and needed personal touch. "How do you like it, Naruto-kun?" Aizen asked as he led the blonde boy to explore his new home. Naruto bobbed his head. "I like it. It's bigger than my old place. Which mean it would feel emptier too with only him. But I always thought a dormitory room supposes to be small. Not when it's for the division leader," Aizen informed him. "Oh." Naruto paused, then stared at the older seal master in shock. "Oh, I thought I am going to live alone, so this is your place, sure so?" Aizen shook his head. "I have my own house, it's 10 minutes walk from the art tower. I would love to let you live in my home." The Hayori-clad shinobi sighed, "But higher-ups insist that you've to live here." Apparently he was not the only cautious one of Aizen, which made him wonder why they let Aizen to keep his position at all. He had not heard of Aizen clan, which meant the clan was minor, so it was no reason to fear political backlash or anything alike. Unless upper echelon of their village still trusted the man, and they wanted Naruto to be where they could keep their eyes on. It annoyed him, most of his life had been trailed by ANBU. How much monitoring they needed. Naruto nodded, "But I am not sure I should have this place." "Nonsense." Aizen drawled, "You're used to have a place with bathroom and kitchen, Naruto-kun, so Hokage-sama deemed it prudent you deserved the same luxury even in dormitory. This place is never used by me, it's better be in use than gathering dust." The blonde boy smiled at that. "I promise I will take a good care of this place, sure so." He beamed. "And by the way, can I paint it orange?" he asked cheerfully. Aizen's sweat dropped at him. This is not private property, Naruto-kun, though I think you could pick a more neutral color, a very pale orange maybe? I will ask permission from Hokage-sama for you." "Really, sure so?" Naruto beamed at the offer. "Thank you." He thanked his master. Aizen just smiled as he bid Naruto goodbye and left the boy to attend his business in his office. Naruto waved at retreating Aizen cheerily. "See you around, sure so." As soon as Aizen was out of his sight, he closed the door and his eyes narrowed. "That man is full of bullshit." Kurama growled. "Ask Hokage-sama for you? You could ask that old man yourself. He sounds like he is going to do a favor for you." Naruto sighed as he began to unload books from the box. Well, kids normally won't notice when adult is bullshitting them. And he seems to be set on making me fond of him. The demon fox snorted, "On his dream, but still, do you think this is a wise decision? Haven't you learned that naivete could get you killed?" The blonde boy clenched his teeth, his finger pushed the book to straighten the row. "Hiragi Jishin, the man who changed my life, in spite of everything I owe him. I can't hate him, not when he gave up his life research for me. I don't know what he was thinking, but should I care?" He wondered in somber tone. "To us Seal Master, what he has given to me is like a shinobi giving up both of his hands. Can't argue with you there, but still. We were so lucky he didn't mess you up." "Hi, but you know Hiragi Jishin is probably not in this world anymore, regardless of his original intention to me is good or bad." Kurama had told him that the man had received a full blast of exposure to Kurama's demonic chakra. A normal human would have went mad and committed suicide or died in instant. "I owe him, that's all in it. As far as I'm concerned, he probably." Naruto trailed off as he put the last book on the shelves. "The only human who ever gave me something without nothing on him in return." Hokage's kindness to him might be out of genuine love to him like a grandfather would their grandson, but in the same time it was also a duty. He was the Jinchuriki of Konoha, after all. Even this opportunity to further his study was partly for Konoha. Torai cared about him, but the ANBU's protection was a duty too. And Itachi, he was not sure, but when it comes to the older boy he could safely say their friendship based on their understanding of each other's standing. Itachi was the prodigy who shouldered his clan's pride on his young shoulder, while he was aware of how his clan slowly descended to the path of no return. While Naruto was a sacrifice for the village and betrayed by them, ironically it was after they knew what he had done for them. They were both aware of how foolish human could be once consumed by hatred. Sometimes Naruto wondered if he was indeed a prodigy, a genius as they called him. If what it takes to be a genius was to know why everyone else was idiot, it was both a curse and blessing. A blessing to know you're not an idiot and a curse to know you're living among idiots. He wisely discarded the thought, because it seemed Itachi was rubbing off on him. Uchiha Compound. Uchiha Sasuke could shamelessly admit he loved his big brother more than he did his parents. It was ironic that while the whole clan pressured him to be as good as Itachi, his big brother was the one who protected him from the said pressure. It was really stressful for a young boy like Sasuke to live under the shadow of such a talented older brother, and he sought comfort from his brother and mother whenever he could. His brother was always busy since he started working as an ANBU, so every second he could get from Itachi was precious. He went home in hurry because it was the day Itachi promised to let Sasuke watching his training with kunai and shuriken. Much to his disappointment, Itachi was not home yet. Ka-san. Sasuke called his mother, who was busy unloading her groceries from plastic bag. Where's Nii-san? He asked impatiently as he pulled one of the chair and pushed himself up to sit. Makoto paused her work. Oh, he went to Munakika-san's place, he should be back soon. He has been away for 2 hours, it shouldn't take so long. Sasuke blinked olishly as he processed what his mother said. Munakika-san? I thought Nii-san just restocked his weapon supply last week? Itachi was always took a good care of his weapons, so usually it lasted longer. It didn't make sense his brother needed to buy anything from the blacksmith. The Uchiha matriarch titled her head to the side thoughtfully. Well, apparently when he restocked his weaponry last week he also ordered something from Munakika-san and he went to pick it up today. She explained as she finished putting the groceries on their fridge. Oh. Sasuke hummed excitedly. Did Nii-san ordered some cool weapons? He asked childishly. I did not. Sasuke almost jumped on his seat, then turned around to face his big brother. Itachi looked pretty amused by his reaction, judging from small smile on his lips. Nii-san. You startled me. Itachi shrugged. Tadaima, cousin, Sasuke. He poked Sasuke on the forehead as he walked past, earning a pout from his little brother. More vigilant next time. Itachi lifted his right hand, holding up a plastic bag. Yoruchi Bazin gave me some anpan and curry bread from their bakery. Makoto smiled at that. She mentally noted to thank the old couple the next time she saw them. That's very nice of them. Sasuke turned to his brother. So what did you get from Munakika-san and Nii-san? He asked curiously. You will see it later. Itachi promised with a glint on his eyes. Sasuke watched in awe as his brother showed him a custom-made shuriken, which just poofed out from a storage scroll. Unlike normal shuriken, the tips were tapered to a diamond-shaped hole, runes carved on its metallic body with an elegantly written for Hano on the center. The next projectile Itachi set beside the custom-made shuriken was a slip of paper? Itachi chuckled amusedly at Sasuke's confusion. Let's see these in action, shall we? He said as he led Sasuke to the nearest clearing. The younger brother looked confused when Itachi took out a wooden dummy out of the scroll. Unlike one he saw in training ground, this one was not made of hay but wood, which make it look like a puppet. He had seen something alike in bookstore, one that used as model for painter to draw human. This one was big, a head taller than Sasuke. Itachi placed a tag on its head. The tag also had difficult-looking rune with 4 breath in the center. Sasuke couldn't help but gaped when he saw the 5 feet wooden dummy suddenly came alive and looked like it was running for its life from them. The way it moved was awkward and frantic and looked more like bouncing instead of running. After it reached certain distance from them, it was running in circle around the training ground like a headless chicken. Sasuke was really disturbed by how creepy it looked. I am not sure that's on purpose. Itachi wasn't disturbed by its frantic bouncing, even when Sasuke flinched at the puppet's head 180 degrees turn. Nii-san. Sasuke almost whimpered, "It's dancing." Itachi only raised an eyebrow when the puppet started dancing ballet, and it was horrendous. Then again, the puppet was no Billy Elliot. Sasuke really started to whimper when the said puppet jumped in the air with its hands stretched out like it was trying to fly. If this is his idea of joke, it's really a poor taste. Itachi craned his neck, but it seems to be a workable puppet for practice dummy. The Uchiha prodigy stepped forward before he dived to a full sprint towards his target. From the corner of his eyes he saw his father approached Sasuke. Fugaku had came to watch his training, it seemed. He paid the spectators no mind as he threw the custom-made shuriken to the puppet. Fire came alive and encased the shuriken. It looked like a disc of fire cutting through. The puppet dodged the coming fiery projectile with jumping high to the air, the legs disturbingly parted in 180 degrees in the mid-air. However, it wasn't fast enough when it jumped, so the tip of its feet were torched. Itachi didn't even pause when the puppet landed on its burning feet and started to spin around. Shuriken encased in fire. Fugaku murmured, ignoring his youngest son who at some point had clung to his pants. He couldn't blame Sasuke. The dancing puppet was a pretty disturbing sight for a child. It's like a more advanced version of our Hausenka no Jutsu. Itachi started to corner the puppet with a fire of wall, dodging spinning kick from the burning wooden feet in the process. Interesting. Sasuke gulped, Nii-san is so fast. But how that shuriken can sprout fire even though Nii-san didn't burn them? He asked curiously. Fuin Jutsu. Fugaku answered in solemn tone. The shuriken is imbued with Itachi's fire-natured chakra, while the rune functioned to shape and manipulate it to produce the same effect as Hausenka no Jutsu. Shursui had told him about the Minato's son and the latest achievement of the budding prodigy of Sealmaster. The boy was truly their son. Oh. Fugaku really hoped they could have adopted Minato's son, but that would be soundly rejected by Sandaime and his cronies. He also didn't want to add oil to the fire, considering their position now. While it was true Sharingan was probably the only thing left in the world that could control Kyuubi, everyone seemed to conveniently forget his family's relationship with Yandaime's. He would sooner cut his own hand than letting his clan to harm Minato's family. The village could accuse Uchiha all they wanted, and conveniently forgot that Makoto was Kushina's best friend and he was Minato's childhood friend and second cousin. The latter was not even a public secret, while it was not well known. One of his mother's cousin married a namikaze and had Minato. Minato's mother had recessive gene of Uchiha, and namikaze was actually an offshoot of Senju, which was why Minato looked nothing like an Uchiha save the shark shape of his eyes, which was not that noticeable in the first place. Uzumaki Naruto was also very unlikely to develop Sharingan, considering Minato married an Uzumaki, a family line which was another offshoot of Senju, diluting the Uchiha blood even further. Aside of the blood relationship, they also forgot how crushed Minato was when Obito was killed, and how Minato had kneeled in front of him to apologize for his nephew's death. Hatake Kakashi was still alive and breathing was also thanks to Minato. The clan was furious about Kakashi's Sharingan, but they honored Obito's last wish. Not to mention Minato didn't need their petty anger on Kakashi while he already had enough on his plate. Even in politics standpoint, without their blood relation thrown in the mix, it didn't make sense for Uchiha to want Minato dead. Minato was the only Hokage after Shodaime who treated them fairly. Fugaku suspected all relationships his family had with Yandaime's was hushed out by Sandaime and his teammates. His blood relation was probably hushed out the moment Minato took his Hokage mantle. None of them noticed that time because war just ended and Konoha experienced the worst economic crisis since the First Great War. Minato was busy to stabilize their village and getting used to his new position, while Fugaku and Police Corps were busy to suppress raising criminality in Konoha's civilian populace. None of them realized what the old cronies did on their back. When he thought of it again, it might be not Sandaime. The old man was too busy to grieve over his wife's and Minato's death. His teammates, however. Recalling those old fools had time to smear his clan's name in the worst moment possible made his blood boil. They could afford to hate the Jinchuriki in their midst and one of the founding clans. Sometimes Fugaku wondered if Konoha deserved Uchiha and Minato's legacy at all. Fugaku. I am going to name my son, Naruto. Minato informed him cheerfully. Fugaku's left eye twitched. What did I tell you about letting Kushina to name your child? Not after that ramen topping, of course. I named him after the main character of Jiraiya-sensei's novel. Not a smutty kind, of course. Minato informed, looked pretty offended that Fugaku thought Kushina's ramen obsession would make his beautiful wife naming their son after the food. The Uchiha clan had rubbed his temple. Even better, the name is from Jiraiya-sama. He is a great shinobi, but... Oh, come on. My sensei is not that bad. Minato protested. Fugaku snorted, I arrested him 3 times for this week alone for peeping. Oh, okay, he is bad, I admit. Minato swallowed heavily. This is why I want to speak to you initially. The 3rd time he was caught this week, which was this afternoon, my wife and yours were in hot spring for their pregnancy exercise. Fugaku growled out. Want to help me kill my Ero-sensei? Minato offered generously. Of course. To-san? Itachi called. Fugaku was snapped out of his thought, his eyes drawn by Itachi's stiff stance and Sasuke, who had cowered behind his brother. He had been leaking killer intent when he was lost in memory, it seemed. I am fine now, Itachi. Sasuke, it's been a hard day. He narrowed his eyes at Itachi. About your new friend Itachi. The older son stiffened. Yes? Cherish him, Itachi. He drawled, as my son, you should do better than I did. That Itachi could correct his mistake, and their son's bond won't be severed by negligence like what happened between him and Minato. Itachi was stunned by the order, and marveled if there's no hidden intention in his father's voice. Yes, father. He couldn't give Minato's son a family, but he would be damned if he even couldn't give a friend to Naruto. Once he was apprenticed, he was given a new place to call a technical home and a new set of clothes. It was not a shirt or pants he usually wore, but some sort of double-layered kimono which only as long as a normal shirt. The sleeve was long but not wider than normal sleeve like kimono. The outer kimono-like shirt was white with one thick orange stripe on chest part while the inner was orange. The pants was short and came in darker shade of orange. Instead of standard ninja shoes, he was given a pair of black jikatabi, traditional Japanese socks. The footwear felt awkward at first, but it was comfortable and he really liked the traditional sock, though not the get it since it was too noisy. He liked the softness of their soles. This gave him tactile contact with the ground and lets him use his feet more agilely than rigid-soled shoes. He could use it in practice once he learned how to create durability seal for cloth. Kurama generously informed him that it looked exactly like clothes Uzumaki Mito gave to her son. Which not surprising since it came from Yuzushiogakure, and must had a preservation seal sewn on it. Naruto was not sure what to think when Hokage gave him the clothes, but didn't say anything about it other than it was a gift. He sometimes wondered how undeserving he was, that not even a drop of information about his legacy was given to him. He didn't ask for much, a few sentences about Uzumaki clan he could find himself in library would be good enough. He wondered why he kept hoping that one day Ji-chan would indulge him at least a little about his legacy, to assure him he was not an unwanted trash nobody wanted. Scrolls. Books. Lots of it. Shursui shook his head as he eyed Naruto's shelves in distaste. No wonder majority of shinobi population thinks you guys from Fuin division are scholars and not ninja. Naruto wondered why Itachi thought bringing Shursui to his place was a good idea. Shursui. The older boy insisted he dropped the honorific with a promise Shursui wouldn't call him Naruto-chan anymore. Put that scroll back, and here I thought Uchiha are clans who value brain over brawl. Shursui raised an eyebrow, so we're smart naturally, but so you know I don't read scrolls to study jutsu. We have instructor and Sharingan for that. I think Naruto-kun is talking about how our Sharingan helps our fighting style to be efficient, which involves strategic thinking instead of brute force. Itachi joined in after he took another sip of his green tea. The Shusen expert scoffed, my best record when fighting an enemy ninja is with Shunshin right on my enemy's blind spot and roasted him with a katan. Just 3 minutes. Like cup noodle. He boasted proudly. Did you just tell me that? Naruto trailed off, setting your enemy on fire is more effective than your prize jujutsu? Naruto asked incredulously. He huffed, we're pyromaniac at heart. Shursui declared proudly. Sharingan tend to make you overthinking in battle, while the simplest solution bring faster result. Which meanwhile Sharingan helps us to predict and counter Nin, Gen and Tai, it's not efficient without enough brain to back it up so Shursui resort is prone to Shunsin and roast anything in his path. Itachi explained in deadpan tone. Shursui glared at his least favorite cousin, Oi. Naruto nodded sagely, I see. No you did not. The older Uchiha growled. Itachi sighed, by the way Naruto-kun, I tested the Nensho Shuriken, burning throwing star, yesterday with that puppet seal you gave me. Naruto's eyes lightened up at that, oh. How is it? Did both work properly? I guess the Nensho Shuriken works well, as for your puppet seal. The Uchiha prodigy titled his head to the side, define properly. Naruto raised an eyebrow at his fellow prodigy, huh? 20 minutes later in the nearest training ground Naruto and Shursui watched in horror as the puppet executed 32 fouets in tournament before it bounced like a rabbit in heat. Aizen who was watching beside Naruto clapped cheerily. Itachi looked indifferent by the puppet, though if you watched closely you could see his left eyebrow twitched by 2 millimeters. Shursui regretted drawing Matogai's face on it, while it was creepy enough when the puppet's face was blank, the thick eyebrow, the eyelashes and the wide smile made the show look straight from the worst realm of insanity. It was pretty funny at first, Shursui conceded, but now it was just plain creepy and disturbing. The spell of silence hung heavily in the air save Aizen's clapping, it was Shursui who found his voice first. No wonder little Sasuke is traumatized. He murmured, Naruto, even I have to admit it's not funny. Uchiha Shursui told him, in a voice that suggested his brain was broken. Naruto gaped like a goldfish at them and for a moment of broken-mindedness they stared at each other, but... I didn't mean it to do that. That... He stammered, I was just trying to modify standard puppet seal Ryudoin clan used. So it could move more fluidly and not so stiff like one the original clan used on training post. He growled testily. Aizen smiled at his disciple, he looked bemused by the whole ordeal. The puppet did move fluidly now Naruto-kun. He beamed. Not that kind of fluid. Naruto exclaimed in horror, he was about to correct his teacher but lost control of his jaw when he saw it. The moment the puppet jumped and doing a full leg splits in midair, which put too much strain on its hip joint and its left leg fell out. The puppet landed on its right leg and started to spin again, while its left leg went flying and stuck on the wall, missing Naruto's cheek by 1 inch. Naruto regained his control as he put his jaw back up. He grabbed the stray leg then threw the leg to the puppet with deadly accuracy. The puppet was struck by its own leg on chest part and was sent sprawling to the ground. Naruto then turned his attention at the 2 dumbfounded Uchiha beside him. Itachi, Shursui. The 2 Uchihas turned to their attention to the Uzumaki. Burn it! He ordered in commanding tone, it was not a request. Itachi and Shursui didn't know why but for a moment they feared for their life of what Naruto would do if they didn't do as he said. It was Aizen who interrupted their train of thought, Naruto-kun. Don't be so hasty, it's not that bad. Naruto was not convinced, burn it, Databeo. He repeated icily, his blue eyes never left the abomination. Aizen was quickly reminded of one thing his late teacher who was lucky enough to know Mito-sama had warned him about Uzumaki. There was one warning all seal masters who had ever known an Uzumaki personally would always say. You shall not make an Uzumaki repeat themselves for the 3rd time when it comes to Fuinjutsu, you nod, shut up, and do as they said before they tear you a new mouth for back-talking them in their expertise. Itachi-kun. Shursui-kun. Quick! Aizen pressed the 2 Uchihas on. Burn it! Do as Naruto-kun said. Itachi and Shisui decided that they didn't want to know why Aizen suddenly started singing different tunes, so they went to the puppet in record time and turned it to firewood with Kokakyu no Jutsu. Naruto trotted to the fire and threw all identical seal with one on the puppet he had on his person to the fire. Itachi and Shisui looked at the Uzumaki in bewilderment, then to the burning puppet and tags. Naruto smiled eerily at the occupant of the training ground, a smile that was known as Uzumaki's trademark smile that said as a sign for flee on sight in the First Great Shinobi War when an Uzumaki was pissed. Especially when the verbal tick came out from their mouth. He had been pretty confused why Naruto didn't have Uzumaki main family's verbal tick, a tick they spouted when being emotional. Uzumakis usually were very emotional when they were young, most calmed down when they reached adulthood, and the verbal tick came out only when they were pissed off or excited. They were known natural disaster when pissed even without bijou. "We never see this," he decided in resolute voice. "We didn't see anything, Databeo," he chirped cheerfully. He decided to just pretend that the abomination never exists. The thought in disbelief. But of course no one dared to protest, of course Naruto-kun. Aizen agreed readily, and Shisui wondered why Sandaime assigned a man without a backbone to tutor a freaking Uzumaki. Actually Shisui worried about nothing, as when it comes to Fuinjutsu, Aizen was a competent teacher. So this symbol represents propagation. Aizen muttered as he expertly finished the last stroke for Chikumo on the scroll. Aizen's writing was smoother and somewhat had a slight overt flourishes. Unlike Naruto's writing, which was simple, written as precisely as he could and sometimes sloppy because of inexperience. And this is symbol of tranquility, which represented by aim, rain, blessed shower from the sky. Naruto nodded as he copied the alphabet to his scroll, why the first layer high-level seal that direct chakra used weather. I always wonder why. All seal Naruto had created so far was simpler in nature. While creative the level was only C or D, Aizen had evaluated his skill, and decided it was time to teach Naruto components for higher rank seal. Naruto had a very strong basic skill, but his experience was limited to lower rank seal like explosion tag and flash tag. Aizen tapped his finger, because high level seal is very volatile most of the time, and while sometimes an unstable seal works, it's better to be stable. And for that, we need harmony, which is what weather symbol we're part of. The nature itself is the personification of harmony, earth. Aizen lowered his hand as his right palm faced the ground. And the sky. His left palm was upward, facing the ceiling of their study room. Azure eyes trailed up and down, absorbing knowledge his teacher gave him like sponge. Harmony. Aizen nodded. Hi, our world is made of harmony of sky and earth. He cleared his throat. It said that the sage of Sixth Path's greatest technique used the concept of yin and yang, in which he created the world we live in. So, he is a god? Naruto asked curiously, ignoring Kurama's mental snicker because Naruto knew the answer. Close. Aizen corrected, it's not like he created the world from scratch, more like creating the order for the new world with knowledge about chakra. A gift human foolishly abuse with slaughter throughout the century. Kurama growled out, old man would have turning on his grave if he had one. A wise decision in his part, Kurama thought. Unfortunately, I can't argue with that. Naruto thought forlornly. Maybe one day human could escape from this loop? Who knows? Uzumaki-sama. Naruto turned his head to the side. A boy who was Shisui's age was holding a tray of snack and steaming tea. You and Aizen Taishu have been studying for hours. I presume you would like a refreshment. He had short pale sandy blonde hair and grayish-blue eyes. His skin was fair, and he had a distinct short eyebrow that almost resembled short tip of brush. He was wearing a dark gray kimono that parted until his chest and abdomen were wrapped in bandage. Ah! Takusa-kun. Aizen called, and from the corner of his eyes Naruto could tell the slight twitch on his master's eye voiced displeasure that Takusa had clearly put Aizen was below Naruto in status. Naruto always felt nervous whenever Takusa or anyone from the boys' clan, the Shiyamitsas, were with him when Aizen was in vicinity. Takusa was part of a seal master clan who specialize in weaponized application, meaning they use seals to enhance weapon, thus they were also a clan of blacksmith.
Shiamitsu clan by any means was not hostile. In fact, Naruto was pretty unnerved when he was introduced to the rest of the tower member. Shiamitsu clans looked very close to prostrate themselves on the floor on the sight of him.
Naruto's paranoia came back threefolds when he realized that for unknown reason he was stuck in some sort of political struggle in the tower, between Takusa's clan and Aizen's subordinates. At first he thought he could just mind his business and let them sort the problem themselves. But no. For some reason their problem centered on him. Shiamitsu clan had unofficially assigned Takusa to be Naruto's retainer, and how insistent they were leave no room for argument. The next thing Naruto knew, both sides never leave him alone with someone from their opposition. If Naruto was studying with Aizen, Takusa would somehow there to study on his own of bringing refreshment. While it didn't bother him that much, he was not used to be the center of attention, especially when Aizen and Takusa discreetly glaring at each other. Aizen might be the head of the tower, but apparently he didn't have complete control over everyone, especially Shiamitsu clan. Naruto guessed it was like Senju Uchiha thing, since from what read in record clans and families that involved in tower were always the same from generation to generation since Uzumaki Mito's founding of the division. He just hoped it was not centered on him for whatever wacky reason they had other than he was related to their founder, and it won't end up anywhere as badly as Senju Uchiha 1.
Uzumaki-sama. Takusa chirped. Naruto paused in mid of stirring his tea. Ah yes, Takusa? What is it?
He had learned to speak very carefully when these two were in the same room. Especially when Aizen had his katana with him, and Takusa had his glove on his belt. No fight broke yet, but it was clear with them carrying it around they were not above using it.
Hakurai Shurso found the reference scroll you wanted.
He informed the blonde boy excitedly, there's a couple of interesting scrolls in our family achieve we think would help in your next project too.
Naruto beamed at that. I see, then.
Aizen shows that moment to cut in, there's sample of grade A ink arrive recently, we should try it. And I am sure in my family achieve we have better reference scroll.
Oh, shit. Naruto started to sweat under their intense gaze. Aizen seemed like he didn't realize his pleasant mentor mask was slipping whenever a Shiamitsu was in vicinity. Tomorrow morning I have a training session with Itachi and Shisui. Naruto didn't miss the flinch on Takusa's face when he mentioned his Uchiha friends.
It seems Shiamitsu clan didn't like Uchiha, and Shisui almost kidnapped him so Takusa won't follow them to training ground. Naruto had to beg for Takusa to leave HM with the Uchihas, and assured the boy he was completely safe with Itachi and Shisui. Itachi, who was the more diplomatic one of the two, even offered to swear an oath of protection, which soundly refused by Naruto because Itachi had nothing to prove to his unofficial retainer. Takusa in the end relented, but he still had a glare match with Shisui whenever the two met face to face. From there Takusa's home is closer, so I will go to your place first. Takusa nodded happily. On the way back to tower I will walk past Shurso's place, and Shurso usually will be at home around 6, right?
Aizen nodded, yes. I will be there then. Naruto caught Takusa looked at him pleadingly and he knew the teen wanted to follow him to Aizen's.
Considering he would be in Takusa's before Aizen's, and how the Shiamitsu clan was going to beg for the same thing later.
With Takusa, he added reluctantly.
Naruto closed his eyes and pretended he didn't hear the snapping sound of calligraphy brush.
Yep.
It was just the third brush for this week.
The next day. You looks like a walking dead man.
Shisui commented as he and Itachi walked the blonde to their favorite training ground.
Naruto glared at Shisui heatedly. I am sorry if I spent 2 months indoor.
He drawled sardonically, and the stupid politics struggle didn't help.
Kami. My whole body feels heavy like lead. Even if other seal masters in the tower likes indoor so much, I honestly don't.
After spending a few weeks with Shisui, Naruto could say there's no harm to act like himself. Shisui was too hot-headed and carefree to plot anything traitorous, and his personality made him a pleasant person to be around and a convenient target to butt head with.
Shisui lifted his hands in placating gesture. He didn't to be a target for Uzumaki's ire. He would have pity that wooden puppet if it was alive, which is why it was very lucky to be dead. No need to be so pissy, Naruto. Can't you ask Aizen Dano to take your lessons outside once in a while?
Itachi and Naruto whipped their heads at his direction so fast that he thought their neck was going to snap.
Are you nuts? They asked in disbelief. The Shushin expert raised an eyebrow. What's wrong with my suggestion?
I told you I am starting on experimental seal.
One I make from scratch.
Naruto informed him, doing it outside is like sticking an explosion tag on my face.
The older Uchiha titled his head to the side. How come?
Itachi facepalmed. Then again he didn't expect Shisui to learn at least the basic safety procedure of Fuinjutsu when he could.
Naruto-kun, just tell him why it's a suicidal idea.
Naruto sighed. First of all, Fuinjutsu is a very volatile art when it comes to experimenting the creation. Naruto waved his finger to emphasize his point. When we try to make a new seal, we need a lot of preparations to make sure we have made every possible safety measures we could.
Since Fuinjutsu can be affected by a lot of things if you're not careful.
He craned his neck to the side, especially for a disciple like me who just started.
He pointed to his face. I need to set up special barrier seal, the same one we have in Chakra's sterile room in the tower. It's meant to help isolate the chosen space from ambient chakra in nature so that Fuinjutsu performed in the middle isn't affected by the environment. Unlike other shinobi arts, the process of chakra molding happened outside of our bodies, so it could be affected by nature chakra.
Naruto huffed. Oh, so that's why, Shisui said flatly. If Naruto was to judge, he'd say his explanation didn't rate very highly on a scale of usefulness in Shisui's book. The young seal master shook his head. There's no way Shisui will let me to take lessons outside, especially at this time of the year.
This time of the year? Shisui repeated, while Itachi's eyes lightened up in cognizance. I see. Oban is next week, right?
The curly-haired Uchiha crossed his arms. Now you lost me. Why Fuinjutsu have anything to do with ghosts visiting our house?
Naruto sweat dropped at him. Aren't you a pretty good censor shinobi, Shisui? Yeah. Itachi and Naruto looked at each other, then Itachi spoke out their query. Don't you feel different when it's around this time of the year? Feels like it's harder to sense people chakra, and how the air feels heavy. Shisui looked thoughtful before he answered. Kind of, but I thought it's because the heat.
Itachi's left eye twitched. At this time of the year nature chakra is on its peak. Konoha's nature energy become comparable even to sacred place like Myobokuzen.
It's a very dangerous time to attempt untested Fuinjutsu outside of controlled environment.
He explained in solemn tone.
But if you're good, and you're attempting nature-based seal, it's the best time of the year for you. Naruto added with a grin. Oh, that's why.
Shisui hummed as he eyed Naruto skeptically, but still, you have no plan to root in the tower like your fellow seal masters.
Naruto nodded at that. You need to move more.
I see you managed to keep yourself from becoming stiff with stretching and light exercise, but it won't be enough to keep your body in top shape.
Itachi nodded. I have to agree with Shisui on this, Naruto-kun. Can't you arrange so you can squeeze some time for taijutsu practice at least? Naruto groaned. I wish I could. For one, you need more Sunday. Shisui quipped. Do you know that the lack of exposure to sun could cause depression?
The blonde scoffed. I don't need sun as much as I need more of me.
What? Shisui drawled.
Naruto rolled his eyes. I wish I can split myself so I can study seals and training physical stuff in the same time.
He said wishfully, and then maybe Aizen's men and Takusa's clan would stop.
He had no wish to be disputed over in the tower as bone on contention. He raised an eyebrow at the intense stare Itachi and Shisui gave him. Considering Uchiha had sharp jet black eyes, it was pretty unnerving.
Why are you looking at me like that? Itachi and Shisui turned their attention to each other. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? Shisui asked with a grin. Itachi nodded, most likely.
The Shushin expert grinned, then turned to Naruto. Itachi looked at him with stoic face, but Naruto could see there's the same strange glint in their jet black eyes.
Have you heard of Kage Bunshin, Naruto-kun?
He asked, rubbing his hands together with a grin on his face. Shisui was bristling as he watched 5 blonde clones toddled above the water surface, 3 on the 3 and the other 2 were reading scrolls.
10 at once. And he did it as easy as breathing. Itachi nodded. I can only do 2. And that will leave me winded for the rest of the day," he ranted in frustrated tone. Itachi shrugged. "HN. Shursui gave his cousin a side glance. He didn't even use his tenet, right? I can't feel demon chakra at all. He is a natural chakra powerhouse even without it." "HN. Natural for an Uzumaki, I guess," Shursui added tiredly. "I wish I have that much chakra to throw around." "You know. The real Uzumaki called them from his perch on the tree. I can't hear your conversation from here, but I can tell Itachi only said HN to you in response, and yet you converse as if he gave you a complete sentence." He pointed out with dumbfounded face. "I thought HN is some sort of stock response you guys give whenever you don't have anything else to say." Shursui snorted. "There's a broad meaning in the HN of Uchiha." Itachi rolled his eyes as he walked closer to Naruto while Shursui continued his postponed reading of the fire jutsu scroll on his lap. "Basically what you said. I didn't feel like replying, Shursui," the Uchiha prodigy said. "It's a habit that plagued Uchiha like a curse." Naruto rolled his eyes then whispered, tapping his belly discreetly. "Apparently the curse have been for generations since the genesis of Shinobi World. I don't think it's genetic like Uzumaki verbal tic, but more like kids miming their parent kind of thing so." He took a deep breath. "If I ever grunt like you do in your vicinity, please whack me on the head as hard as you can. Because my tenant don't want me to pick up any Uchiha's habit at all, and you know how racist he was." Itachi nodded. "At any rate, about Kage Bunshin's memory advantage, if you—" "I know." Naruto cut him off. "It's about my psychological age, isn't it?" The Uchiha nodded again. It seemed after they showed him how to do Kage Bunshin a day before Naruto had researched the jutsu himself. Naruto had a paranoia of a seasoned ANBU, cautious and alert to his surrounding even in his sleep. Itachi acknowledged that as part of physiology wound, the years of negligence had brought upon the young Jinchuriki. Kage Bunshin at first seemed to be an innocent solution to Naruto's problem. It was not until Shursui finished showing Naruto the hand seal that the consequences crashed on his mind. Kage Bunshin's memory would be transferred to the user, which making it an excellent espionage tool when used right, and free risk aside from chakra drain. However, when a chakra powerhouse like Naruto used it, there's no way Naruto wouldn't abuse the technique. It was not a wrong thing to do though, since it was like saying abusing Sharingan's copy ability is wrong. Naruto, however, had matured psychologically beyond his age. Kage Bunshin would make the maturing process faster. Naruto still had childish tendency once in a while, but at this rate Naruto would lose the little innocence he had left. Itachi always saw Naruto as a friend, and painfully aware it was not as a younger friend but someone equal. It won't be a bad thing per se if Naruto was already wearing a headband and older. Naruto was the same age as Sasuke, but after their first meeting that simple fact never crossed Itachi's mind. At one point Itachi forgot this boy was 4 years younger than him like Sasuke was, and not fellow shinobi his age. And yet... Oi Itachi! He was snapped out of his thought when he felt a fist drilling to his left temple playfully. Naruto was hanging from a branch upside down with his fist on Itachi's temple. "What are you doing?" Naruto sighed, crossing his arms. "Don't overthinking it," he warned him. "You always do that. It's no wonder you have stress lines under your eyes already when you haven't even hit puberty yet." Itachi stared at Naruto in disbelief. His younger friend always said the strangest thing out of nowhere and bluntly. "What do you know about puberty?" Naruto tapped his chin, then looked at Shursui who was practicing his katan technique. "What Shursui is going through for one, and no thanks to my tenant to tell me what is it and that I could find a book about it if I am curious." He shook his head. "That teach me for being too curious." Itachi just smiled at that. "I see. There's no use to cry over spilled milk," Naruto muttered as Itachi looked up at him. "In the first place," he closed his eyes, "I have little choice when it comes to my life since the day I was born. Even entering Ninja Academy is not my choice." "Eh?" Naruto smiled bitterly. "I am an orphan, there's little choices to survive, and my heritage and status are assets Konoha won't ever let go." The very same reason he was enrolled early like Naruto to academy, brimming potential they couldn't afford to waste while the child had no say in the matter. "Ah. I see. Ah. Naruto waved his finger warningly. What did I say about stressing your mind over little things? One in the past nonetheless? Naruto huffed. Were prodigies right? That what they said at least. He grumbled under his breath, while we do have the brainpower, it's not necessarily the wisdom to put it to good use, we still have a long future ahead. Just take it in stride, shall we? Naruto hopped off of his perch and landed beside Itachi. Beside, you'll be with me to face it, wouldn't you? His lips curved up to a small and barely noticeable smile, one Naruto had seen a couple of times which speak louder than anything. Of course. Naruto thought his Halcyon days won't end so soon, that he was never willing to let it go. Azure eyes peeked through the lens of a camera. A grin was etched onto his handsome face as he waved to the beautiful redhead who sat on the sofa. Kushina. Smile, my dear. If I smile any wider I'll look stupid, Databane. Kushina huffed, pouting at her husband. Now come over here. Hurry up, Minato. Minato grinned as he came from behind the camera and approached his wife. He knelt in front of her and placed his ear on her bulging stomach. Oh, our boy is kicking again, he muttered fondly. Kushina just smiled at him. Are you sure you want to pose like this for the camera? If your enemies see you they will cancel that flee on sight order, she giggled. The camera flashed and the picture was taken. Minato looked up, grinning from ear to ear. I don't care, right now, I just want to be your idiot husband and father of our son, not the cool and smooth yellow flash of Konoha. Kushina laughed softly at that. Oh, Minato. I'm afraid you're going to spoil our son rotten. I will. Minato promised, laughing softly when he felt another kick. I can't wait to meet you, too, my dear son. You hear that, my little prince? Kushina cooed as she rubbed her bulging stomach. We will shower you with love the moment you're born. She laughed softly. I just hope we don't suffocate you with it. That dream of a perfect little family never came true. Naruto, you're going to experience a lot of pain and suffering. Remember who you are. Find a goal, a dream, and don't stop trying until it comes true. There's so much more that I want to say, to teach you. I want to stay with you. I love you. Naruto, this is your dad. Listen to your motormouth mother. I second everything she said. We wish we could be there for you to watch you grow up, but don't forget we'll always love you. Naruto opened his azure eyes, gasping for breath as he sat up. Ha! It hurt so much, this suffocating grief was gnawing at him. He had accepted that he was an orphan a long time ago. However, knowing his parents had loved him so much made his heart hurt whenever he was slammed back into reality. The memory is torturing you. Coming from Kurama, it was a statement. You should stop letting it invade your dreams. Naruto shook his head. No, Kurama. I want it. But, the fox protested. Please, let me have this memory. I want to feel loved. Let me have this selfish, childish longing, please. Naruto begged as he hugged himself. I promise I will not trouble you, just let it be. Heh, you're still a child. Despite his words, Kurama wasn't heartless enough to meddle with the memory and deprive Naruto of the only connection to his parents. The boy treasured every memory he had, so he deserved at least that much. He just hoped his vessel would stay strong. As a bijou he could protect his vessel's mind to an extent, but he couldn't perform miracles. This was entirely their fault, Kurama decided. The demon fox had to wonder at the wisdom of hiding so many things from the child. The only reason Kurama didn't reveal anything to Naruto about his parents was because he felt that the old Kage should take responsibility for all the secrets. It was bad enough Naruto found out about his Jinchuriki status on his own, so Kurama would be damned if the Hokage didn't regret his foolishness at all. Then again, Kurama could tell Naruto had realized who his parents were, at least the identity of his father anyway. After all, the dream had become more vivid with each passing day. Just know it wasn't his fault if it blew up in their faces later. Congratulations, Naruto-kun. The Sandaime said as he handed Naruto a headband of Konoha.
Naruto looked down at the headband, tracing the Konoha symbol inscribed on the metal surface with his fingers, and then turned to the smiling, old Kage.
Oh. Should he be happy? Thank you, Hokage-sama.
He bowed in respect, then turned to his Shursho and did the same.
Sandaime frowned.
You don't seem happy with your promotion, Naruto-kun, he pointed out. The Jinchuriki stiffened.
It's just about the genin teams.
Naruto looked up with determined eyes.
If possible, I don't want to be on a team for the time being. I see. He didn't question him.
Sandaime could see the reason as plain as day why Naruto didn't want to be a part of a genin team. He was the youngest genin they had in their ranks now, and if he was put on a team it would be with older genin. Naruto hadn't had the best experience when dealing with those older genin, especially since his academy days of being bullied were still fresh in his mind. Being classmates was one thing, being teammates was quite another. A team was supposed to be composed of shinobi you trusted, but Naruto couldn't trust so easily.
Sandaime nodded.
You can continue working in the tower, Naruto-kun. His eyes lit up at the prospect.
I can?
Of course. You're already a specialist and your skills as a seal master is highly valued. Besides, Aizen would be sad to see his precious disciple leave anytime soon, the Hokage assured.
Naruto beamed. Thank you, Hokage-sama. It was no secret Naruto had somehow managed to graduate from the academy.
So when the villagers had shunned and glared at Naruto even more harshly, they had expected some type of reaction, not indifference. He didn't even show his ire through his pranks like he had in the past.
It's true that his pranks were annoying, but his indifferent behavior was downright irritating.
Itachi and Shursui had heard a civilian ranting about how the demon child had raised an eyebrow at him when he glared heatedly at the Jinchuriki. Apparently, civilians who tried to voice their hatred with a glare or a muttered insult felt like they were being treated like an idiot by the Jinchuriki.
Especially after that one incident where a genin had deliberately blocked Naruto's path.
The genin had glared at Naruto and told the Jinchuriki to watch where he was going. Naruto, at that time, had just spent the whole night writing a report and had been really tired. All he'd been craving for was his bed, but he'd had to deliver the report to the Hokage personally. And so Naruto had flippantly retorted that only idiots stand in the middle of the sidewalk and get pissed when people walked into them.
Idiots all of you.
And then the Jinchuriki had stormed off, leaving behind a dumbfounded genin and villagers. The Hokage had had a mild panic attack that day when he received a report from ANBU saying that Naruto might have lost his patience and snapped. Naruto had quickly assured the Hokage that he was just tired and badly needed some sleep. When reprimanded for calling the villagers idiots, Naruto hadn't apologized at all and said, they shouldn't be offended if it's not true. The Hokage had just sighed. He would have said more about how insults were not the right way to deal with civilians, but Naruto had promptly passed out on the floor of his office. That ended their conversation splendidly. The Hokage had then ordered Tori and his squad to take Naruto back to the tower. It was then he realized that Naruto, for some reason, was using sarcasm to express his ire. Naruto, who woke up the next day, apologized to the Sandaime and said he wished he could say the same to the offended party. Sandaime could tell it wasn't exactly a sincere apology but one that was expressed to keep up appearances. The old Kage didn't even realize in his relief about Naruto not snapping that the boy was growing indifferent to their opinions.
Autumn was the season of harvest where leaves in Konoha's forest changed to mirror the colors of sunset.
According to the civilians, it was a season of literature, gourmet, and sports.
To the shinobi population, it was just another season that forced them to adapt their camouflage techniques.
Shursui, though, couldn't have cared less about half of that. He felt it was just a season of good food where he had to watch his diet to avoid overeating. He did have to keep his ideal body after all, though it wasn't for cosmetic purposes of course. So his mind failed at understanding why Itachi's little prodigy friend thought it was a good season to simply watch the leaves fall. It was not like the blonde neglected his training, but at some point in the start of autumn, the boy always allowed himself or a clone to stare at the falling leaves. He used to get how the gears in Naruto's mind worked. But now it seemed the boy had transformed into some kind of genius, which was probably why he didn't understand the brat anymore. It was either that or the blonde Jinchuriki had gone absolutely bonkers.
Naruto. This time it was the real one who watched the leaves. Are you okay? Naruto raised an eyebrow at him. Of course I am. Why do you ask?
You're watching leaves fall like a Nara watching clouds, Shisui pointed out. I'm trying to figure out something, silly. Naruto scoffed as he watched a yellow leaf fall in front of his face. You know, all these leaves fall to the ground in different fashions, flipping as if dancing in the air. Shisui blinked owlishly at the blonde. Since when did you start speaking poetically? On second thought, you and Itachi seem to like being cryptic. Don't speak as though I'm not here, Itachi said to his cousin from his seat on the branch above Naruto's. We're ninja, Naruto replied flippantly before turning his attention back on the leaves.
Ah, it's already been half a year. Time flies so fast. It's already October. Shisui grinned. Speaking of October, your birthday's soon. Naruto flinched at that. Is there anything you want? We can celebrate with cake.
Shisui.
Itachi hissed.
I don't feel like celebrating when a majority of Konoha is visiting gravesites. Shisui blanched at the deadpan tone Naruto used.
Besides, the only thing I know about my parents is that their death anniversary is October 10th. Neither Uchiha could hide their flinch at the reminder.
If anything, I would visit their graves, but I don't know where they are, unfortunately. Sarcasm was dripping from his voice, but both knew it was not aimed at them but at all of those who kept the information from him. Shisui didn't know anything about Naruto's parents, and while Itachi did know a bit, he had no right to give out that information. Itachi sometimes wished the Hokage hadn't resorted to such extreme measures to keep Naruto's heritage a secret. Everything had been going so well lately that they'd forgot October was anything but a pleasant month for Naruto. In fact, since October 1st, Naruto had refused to step out into the city or any other crowded area in Konoha, especially with the villagers growing ire.
Naruto cackled at the worry evident on their faces.
I'm not going to refuse a bowl of Ichiraku ramen, and presents would be nice, he assured them.
No cake and candle blowing though.
Itachi's eyes softened at his young friend.
That's fine.
Besides, if I refused presents, everyone in the tower would be disappointed, he said with a sigh. They've tried to be discreet, but the Shyamitsus in particular have been not so subtlety, implying I'd be wonderful with a sword if I took up kenjutsu. Shisui rubbed the back of his head.
If it's just basic kenjutsu, I think we can teach you.
We're no masters, but we're proficient. I haven't said anything about adding kenjutsu to my arsenal, Naruto pointed out. I'm in the process of creating a fighting style that suits me, and I want to base it on what I already have.
Itachi smiled at that as he swung down from the tree and landed on his feet.
You don't have to create an entirely new fighting style, you can base it off an existing one and work on how to make it yours. The fighting style I know best is the Uchiha style, because you two are my main training partners. Most of the time he lost, which was why he wanted to develop a style of his own. Though, Yuzuriha and Takusa spar with me sometimes.
Yuzuriha was Takusa's older sister and basically looked like an older, female version of Takusa with a ponytail.
Their fighting style involves a lot of kicks and wide attacks. Which is not for a midget with short limbs like you. Shisui grinned from ear to ear. Naruto glared at the curly-haired Uchiha, crossing his arms as he stood up from his seat.
How mature. A 14-year-old shinobi is teasing an 8-year-old about his height.
Itachi sighed, not even bothering to point out that Naruto, at some point, had grown taller and was already taller than Sasuke by a few inches if his estimations were correct. It was not surprising considering Naruto's diet. It was the healthiest menu Itachi had ever seen, especially since Naruto cooked his food himself. He had even seen Naruto drink a carton of milk in one go like it was water. It seemed Shisui's teasing about his height really bothered Naruto. Speaking of growing, there was one thing that really bothered him. The Uchiha prodigy stared at the spiky, golden mess Naruto called hair.
Naruto-kun, I think your hair is getting a bit too long. Naruto raised an eyebrow at him.
I cut it yesterday with a kunai, of course with no mirror, and Yuzuriha also helped.
It's slightly longer than my old hair. It doesn't get in the way?
I can see just fine, and Yuzuriha said it looked good on me. Naruto chalked up his list of reasons.
And besides, who cares about hair? I don't.
Actually, a majority of the population cared, because the length of his hair was disturbingly identical to the yandame's, especially with how the front locks framed his face.
If you say so.
Itachi mentally noted to tell the Shiamitsu that giving Naruto an identical haircut to his father was a bad idea. Though it was probably pointless since Naruto had no intentions of enduring the haircutting process again. Naruto looked up to a medium-sized bird flying in a circle above them. It was probably a dove in training sending a letter. One of its feathers fell from the sky, falling down gently because of its lightness. Naruto's right hand shot out and the feather landed on his palm. He could barely feel the brush of the feather, it was so soft and light. When it fell from his hand, it fell slowly. Naruto turned to Shisui, who raised an eyebrow at his grin, and waited until the wind picked up, blowing in Shisui's direction.
Shisui! Catch!
Naruto shouted as he threw an object at the Shunshin expert. Shisui's eyes widened as he jumped and attempted to catch the small rock Naruto threw at him, but it slipped past his hands.
What was that for? Shisui asked indignantly.
The Genjutsu specialist clamped his mouth shut the moment he saw the glint in Naruto's eyes.
It was the dreaded Eureka glint, which involved troublesome experimenting he loathed to be a part of.
The first time he'd been involved was awesome, but the second and the third time. Shisui Naruto sang cheerfully.
I know, no. Whatever it is, I'm not doing it. Forget it. Never. Ever. No. That's final. 3 days later.
Naruto was bouncing up and down on a trampoline. Feathers he'd scattered all over the trampoline were floating in the air. Itachi and Shisui watched from the sidelines as their young friend bounced for who knows what reason.
So, can you explain what our little prodigy is thinking this time? Shisui asked curiously. He's been doing this for hours.
Honestly, it didn't look healthy, especially since the trampoline catapulted the boy at least 12 feet into the air.
That wasn't a healthy height to be in continuously, even for a ninja. Itachi shook his head.
No, he answered curtly.
All I know is that he's trying to figure something out.
Shisui huffed, muttering, yesterday he asked us to practice kenjutsu with a mechanical fan and the hundreds of feathers he got from ripping pillows.
Itachi nodded. It's an interesting exercise.
Cutting weightless, floating feathers with a sword was much harder than cutting falling leaves. Though Itachi really did wonder if the boy was all right.
Ugh! Naruto guffawed. Shisui facepalmed. Ah shit. I bet Naruto is having the headache of the century.
Itachi quickly caught the younger boy from midair and dragged him under the shade of a lush tree. Naruto looked awful as he rubbed his throbbing cranium.
Itachi offered him a drink which was accepted gratefully.
I feel awful, Naruto admitted wearily.
Shisui groaned. Of course you feel sick. What the hell were you thinking?
Itachi sighed. Shisui, lower your voice.
You're not helping his headache. Naruto nodded in agreement weakly.
Yeah, anyways, I almost got it, he grinned.
It'll be awesome, Excuse me. Naruto ran to the bush with a hand covering his mouth.
He then promptly emptied the contents of his stomach.
Itachi watched Naruto wobble as he tried to stand up straight. Last month, Naruto had doubled his training regime and it was bordering unhealthy.
There was obviously something besides creating a new fighting style on Naruto's mind, but Itachi wasn't sure it was wise to pry.
Itachi! Shisui called. HN. Shisui looked down. Why hasn't he put on his Konoha headband since receiving it from Hokage-sama? He asked sadly. Itachi shook his head.
I don't know, but I don't think he wants us to ask. He knew the headband was always in Naruto's pocket, but the blonde boy never deigned to wear it. And he didn't make a fuss over his genin status either, Shisui pointed out.
He became a genin before his 8th birthday just like you, Itachi. Genin at 7. Even a prodigy like him would be happy for that. Heck! Even you were happy.
The Shunshin expert groaned.
We didn't even know he was promoted until we saw the blue cloth of his headband sticking out from his pocket. Itachi sighed. It's probably nothing.
Or at least he hoped it was nothing.
Takusa and Yuzuriha had been told by the Uchiha cousins about their young master's wishes for his birthday.
Although they had to agree it would be unwise to celebrate on a parent's death anniversary, Naruto's parents wouldn't have minded if their son celebrated his birthday. It's just that Naruto was really uncomfortable about it.
Naruto-sama, Yuzuriha started, eyeing the young seal master having a tea break with them. About your birthday.
Naruto raised an eyebrow at the scarf-wearing Kunoichi who was sitting Saiza beside her brother in front of his chair. He would never be comfortable with their tradition of sitting at a lower level than himself. You don't have to be so weary of broaching that subject with me, he assured her as he set down his cup. And like what I told Itachi and Shisui, you can give me presents, we can eat good food and so on. I just don't want to have cake or candle blowing.
Takusa shook his head. But we were thinking about celebrating your birthday on October 11th instead.
The blonde seal master blinked owlishly.
A day late? Why?
Yuzuriha fidgeted with her scarf. Well, we thought it would be a good idea.
And, it's like celebrating, the first day of your life. That didn't sound right. What she meant to say was, late birthday presents aren't bad. Takusa rambled. Neither is cake. If you think a candle is childish, Naruto-sama, we can just have cake.
Yuzuriha assured him as they continued to ramble on.
Naruto raised his hands to calm them down.
Takusa, Yuzuriha, you're rambling, calm down. They flushed a deep red, and Naruto chuckled at their reaction.
I'm sorry for being uncooperative about my birthday. I don't think it's a bad idea to celebrate it late. I don't mind the cake or candles either. Yuzuriha and Takusa went wide-eyed. Really?
Their excitement was so innocent it made Naruto wonder who was older here, him or them. And this reaction was all from birthday celebrations.
Yes, of course.
He said in an amused tone as he picked up a napkin. He reached out to clean Takusa's hair and Yuzuriha's left cheek. They both had gotten orange and white cream in their hair the moment they'd started rambling. They froze when they saw the napkin had frosting on it.
I will leave the cake to you, he assured them. Hopefully, the kitchen would stay intact until his birthday.
They stammered, blushing a deep red.
Hi. Naruto-sama. October 10th. Clink clank clink. Clink clank clink. Clink clank clink. Shut up. Kurama roared in the sewer mindscape. Naruto woke up. That dream again, full of rattling chains. Naruto mumbled sleepily. And Kurama is cranky. What a wonderful start to the day.
He began his morning with a shower, some morning stretches, and inspecting what he had in his fridge. He would have to ask Takusa or Yuzuriha to shop for him soon. He only had bread, 3 apples, a carton of milk, 3 eggs, a banana and a bowl of leftover salad from last night.
His stamina was monstrous, so his body demanded a big consumption of food.
He wished he could shop for himself, but he didn't want to deal with irritated vendors in October. It would sour his mood. It looked like the menu for breakfast today would be omelets with cherry tomatoes inside, French toast, salad and stir-fried apples. Naruto ate his breakfast silently, wondering about the previous day's events.
He shouldn't have asked such a thing from Itachi.
He troubled the guy enough by simply being his friend. When Naruto finished his breakfast, he had planned to wash the dishes, but there was a knock on his door.
Naruto dropped his eating utensils in the sink. He climbed up the door with chakra and looked through the peephole to see his visitor. He frowned when he saw Aizen smiling, waiting patiently for a response. Naruto opened the door, titling his head to the side. "Ah, Shirsho, I didn't expect a visit so early in the morning," he muttered. From the corner of his eyes he noticed Aizen's katana. That was not a good sign. Aizen just smiled.
I wanted to congratulate my favorite disciple on his 8th birthday, he said as he ruffled Naruto's golden locks fondly.
Naruto chuckled softly at that.
I am your only disciple, Shursho.
Which gives even more reason for you to be my favorite, Aizen added with a smile. I have a surprise for my disciple today. He leaned in conspiratorially. It's a secret I'll only share with you. Oh.
Naruto put on his childish mask of excitement.
Really, Shursho?
Inwardly, Naruto flinched at how giddy he sounded.
Ow, this doesn't sound good. It sounds so promising, Kurama growled irately.
If you're going to follow this guy, go prepared at least.
Will do. Naruto nodded when Aizen asked him to come alone. Can you wait for a few minutes, Shursho?
I have a spar planned with Itachi later, so I need to pack up now.
Aizen frowned at that. I guess you can, we're not going to take long though. Thank you.
Naruto rushed back into his room and gathered his storage scrolls, a weapon pouch, and a couple of seals he could use to defend himself. He returned to the hallway where Aizen was waiting for him and was very surprised to find Hinamori there with him. Hinamori was Aizen's right-hand woman, a very young-looking female with jet black hair pulled up in a bun and equally dark eyes.
Unlike Aizen, who he could tell had underhanded objectives, Hinamori was very sincere and adored Naruto like an older sister.
Happy birthday, Naruto-kun, Hinamori said as she fervently kissed his cheeks and put a dark orange scarf around his neck gently.
Here is your present.
It's been getting cold lately, so I made this for you. Thank you, Hinamori Nizan, Naruto said to the older girl timidly while seething inwardly. Whatever Aizen was planning, he had a hostage ready.
Damn it! It's very warm.
He grinned cheerfully, while his left hand reached into his left pocket. He channeled a bit of chakra into the first seal he grabbed.
Let's go, Naruto-kun, Aizen called out. He nodded. Let's.
As they walked, he let the seal fall from his hand discreetly. No one noticed as it was burned by a bluish chakra.
Itachi woke up with an unexplainable sense of foreboding.
He was folding his blanket when Sasuke knocked on his door, and Itachi told him to come in. His brother greeted him with a good morning and latched onto his arm, smiling innocently at him.
He ruffled Sasuke's black locks fondly and told him to go ahead for breakfast.
His little brother was about to walk away, but stopped when a weasel-looking Haniwa statue above his wardrobe shattered into pieces.
Ni-san!
Sasuke called him worriedly. Itachi recalled that the statue was some sort of joke Naruto had given to him and Shursui. He wasn't certain about the origins of it, but he suspected that one of the Shiyamitzes gave it to the boy. Inside the Haniwa, Naruto had engraved a seal called Kodama, Echo, which was a simple seal that would emit chakra when an identical seal was activated. Naruto joked it was some sort of SOS signal, though it wasn't really usable since they didn't know how to activate the seal. Itachi mostly just kept it as a memento of their friendship. The older Uchiha smiled at Sasuke. I'm sorry, Sasuke, but tell Kazen I need to go now, Itachi said as he quickly put his backpack on. His supplies were always ready in case of an emergency.
But, Ni-san, Sasuke protested.
Before Itachi jumped from his windowsill, he said, I'll be back soon. The Uchiha Scion hopped from roof to roof through the Uchiha complex, and didn't even bat an eye when Shursui joined him.
Ohio, Itachi. Ohio, Itachi returned. So you received the same signal?
Shursui growled under his breath, it's a good thing he never published that echo seal. It could only mean he's in a pretty desperate situation. 20 minutes later they reached the tower and found the Shiyamitzes were in a panic.
They couldn't find their prodigy anywhere. Itachi approached one of the Shiyamitzes, Shion if he recalled correctly, who had long, pale sandy blonde hair that seemed to be the dominant hair color of his clan, and was dressed in a dark blue kimono. Shion-san. He would have called the man by his surname, but he was not the only Shiyamitsu in the vicinity. What happened? Shion looked aghast as he contemplated how to tell Itachi. Uzumaki-sama is missing. We usually wouldn't be worried since he's always somewhere in the tower, but this morning when Takusa went to his room, we found a number of anomalies. Such as? Itachi pressed. Cheyenne took a deep breath.
His weapons pouch and storage scrolls were gone.
Which meant wherever Naruto went, he was expecting a battle. His dishes were left unwashed in the sink.
He was also in a hurry. And we found a burned-out seal in front of his door.
Which couldn't be a good sign at all. Aizen Dano and Hinamori-san are missing too.
Shursui gritted his teeth.
Aizen. Cheyenne paled. He couldn't be.
The seal master pondered for a moment.
It's his 8th birthday. Oh. Could it be?
The Shusin expert glared at the seal master, while Itachi stayed silent.
Explain. Why does his disappearance have anything to do with his birthday?
It's the coming of age for Uzumaki clan. Cheyenne muttered hesitantly, there are some seals that could only used by Uzumaki clan after that transition.
He probably wants to use Uzumaki-sama for that. Shursui's Sharingan flashed, I know that bastard is up to no good.
Itachi had told him to be wary of Aizen, and Shursui trusted Itachi's judgment. Itachi narrowed his eyes, he could predict the timeline if Naruto had finished his breakfast, but he had no time to wash the dishes.
Considering his daily schedule, that meant Naruto went out around 7, which was a few minutes before Naruto sent his distress signal.
Which meant he had been missing for almost 1 hour.
We should contact Sandaime-sama. We need reinforcement, something suspicious is happening here.
That won't be necessary, a familiar cool voice echoed.
We have sent a messenger to Hokage-sama. Itachi turned around and was relieved to see the familiar mask of his captain. Torai Taishu.
Torai craned his neck to the side. I thought we could celebrate Naruto-kun's birthday today, but here I've heard he was kidnapped.
Seriously.
I can't leave that boy alone for a minute. The ANBU captain slowly lost his friendly demeanor as killing intent leaked from his body.
If that bastard dares to harm Naruto, he'll pay.
The seal tower was actually not as tall as Hokage Tower, in fact it was just a 3-story cylinder-shaped building from outside.
Why it was called a tower was simply because its underground level was 20-story. One could say it towered toward center of Earth rather than the sky.
They went through a secret passage on the lowest level of the tower, one that ironically resembled the sewer of his mindscape. They arrived on a giant tree stump which was located at the end of the sewer.
Naruto eyed the giant seal array carved into the wooden surface likely made by the Shodaime.
He had never seen this kind of seal before, but the leftover chakra on it was calling out to him.
It was a seal of the Uzumaki clan, a legacy of Uzumaki Nido. It seemed whatever Aizen wanted needed in Uzumaki.
This is the legacy of your clan, Naruto-kun, Aizen informed, his genial smile firmly in place.
Isn't it amazing? Naruto forced a grin.
I can't comprehend this seal at all, but it does looks amazing, he admitted wearily. Aizen narrowed his eyes and for the first time, Naruto knew he saw a glimpse of the real Aizen in that moment.
You can sense it, can't you, heir of the Uzumaki clan?
Naruto couldn't help but back away when Aizen released killing intent. His eyes widened when he saw the man move.
Hinamori.
Get away from him, he shouted in panic.
Hinamori looked nervously at her superior.
He had been acting very strange since he'd led them down here.
Aizen-sama, what?
She was knocked unconscious before she even knew Aizen had moved. Naruto gritted his teeth as he eyed his soon-to-be former mentor. Hinamori was unconscious because of some sort of hypnotic jutsu of Aizen's, but the blonde boy didn't drop his guard. He watched as the man dropped the female seal master unceremoniously onto the ground.
Shursho, Naruto tried to fake his confusion, what did you do?
Aizen laughed as he took off his glasses and pushed his hair back, giving him a sinister look that was the very opposite of his genial mask.
Naruto-kun, let us drop our masks, shall we? He asked in a sardonic tone. Both of us are undoubtedly sick of them. The Jinchuriki scowled at his former mentor. What's the meaning of this? What do you want? Very forward of you, Naruto-kun. As for the reason why, you're 8 years old today. Your Uzumaki chakra should have started maturation by now.
Aizen explained with a malevolent smile.
I have to say I like this you better than the obedient and quiet prodigy persona you show on a daily basis. Naruto scoffed. His chakra? Uzumaki chakra? It's not really a mask, this is the disgusted face I show to scum like you, Aizen. Ha glanced at the unmoving form of Hyanmari. You used her to drag me to this place. Aizen shrugged. Can you blame me? No matter how hard I tried to get you to trust me, you always put your guard up. I even got into that stupid rivalry with the Shyamitsus. He sighed wearily. Neither the Shyamitsus nor the Uchihas helped either, they were wary of me just like you. For a good reason, bastard, Naruto snarled. Enough of this. What do you want? He asked impatiently. He needed to get Hinamori away from this man, because so long as she was here, he couldn't escape or fight back. Impatient, are we? Well, I do have something in mind that, an Uzumaki like you could help me with, Aizen said in a velvety voice that sickened Naruto to the core. I want you to activate the seal with your chakra. The Jinchuriki glared at the giant seal array. What's it for? You can't expect me to cooperate without knowing. Aizen shrugged nonchalantly. Fair enough, this is a containment seal. Naruto's eyes widened in shock, unconsciously glancing at his stomach. What's inside? A treasure. Aizen answered. Don't worry. It's not a demon. The blonde Jinchuriki stiffened at that. This seal was made by Mito-sama, and even with my meager knowledge I can tell it's a very powerful seal. Whatever it contains should forever belong there, he shouted angrily. He had to stall for more time. Itachi and Shisui would have noticed something was wrong and followed the trail he left by now. Aizen snorted. Do you forget who has the advantage here? He muttered as he unsheathed his katana. He grazed Hinamori's left cheek, causing a trail of blood to slide down her face. Naruto flinched, gritting his teeth in anger. Fine. What should I do to activate this seal? Glad you see things my way, Naruto-kun, Aizen told him with a smile. Stand in the middle of the seal and channel your chakra. Naruto glared at his former mentor as he stepped onto the seal array, not taking his eyes off the man until he reached the center. Just promise me you won't harm her. Aizen sighed theatrically, I promise. Naruto scowled, couldn't this man sound even more fake than that? He reluctantly channeled his chakra to the seal, it glowed briefly but nothing happened. He gritted his teeth, it's not working? He muttered in disbelief. The slick-haired man growled at the boy. Don't play with me, boy, or something tragic will happen to her. He shouted as he placed his katana next to Hinamori's slender neck. Naruto shook his head. I'm not playing around, he shouted desperately. I'm not a pure-blooded Uzumaki, so maybe that's why. It's not my fault. Don't hurt her. Aizen scowled at the blonde boy. That's probably the case if your mother married someone else, but she married someone who was also an offshoot from Senju, your blood. Uzumaki blood, Senju blood, is in no way diluted. He stated confidently. Aizen scowled at the blonde boy. That would have probably been the case had your mother married someone else, but she married an offspring of the Senju family, your blood. Uzumaki blood and Senju blood is in no way diluted, he stated confidently. But it didn't work. Naruto denied fervently. What do you know about genetics anyway? If it didn't work, that means it can't function with my chakra. There's no reason for you to keep us here. Maybe you just need the proper motivation. Aizen hoisted Hinamori up by her collar and ran his katana down her left arm. Hinamori screamed in pain as a deep gash appeared on her left arm, Ayakak, but she didn't wake up from her deep sleep. Stop it! Naruto cried desperately. Aizen smirked, but it quickly disappeared the moment he felt cold steel on both sides of his. Glance to his sides, a pair of garnet orbs with Tomo stared back at him. Since when they were here? How did you find us? He wondered out loud, Itachi-kun, Shisui-kun? Itachi narrowed his Sharingan eyes. You underestimate Naruto-kun, he muttered as he pressed his ninjato against Aizen's neck, drawing a thin line of blood. He didn't follow you without alerting us and leaving a trail to follow.
Shursui grinned as he raised his free hand. Strands of golden locks glinted dimly in the room. I don't know how he did it, but apparently his hair has special properties when imbued with chakra. The chakra stays for a long period of time and acts as a beacon for a sensor like me to follow.
Naruto blinked at the information.
When Kurama had suggested that method, he hadn't thought it was actually going to work, but it did. How the hell did he not know his own hair could do that? Oh. Your mother did the same so your father would find her.
Kurama, you make it sound like they were flirting even though the situation was probably serious. I'm me, Kurama deadpanned.
Okay.
Naruto sighed in relief. The crisis was diverted for now, or at least it was not as bad as before.
Now if he could get Hinamori away from that man. Aizen sighed theatrically, giving the shinobi a bad feeling. Too bad you didn't catch me off guard, he said as he escaped from their grasp with a shunshin, Hinamori still in his grasp.
Shit.
Shursui cursed. The man was faster than he'd thought. They had underestimated Aizen by thinking the man was only mid-shunin level.
It seemed everything about the man was fake.
Aizen reappeared on the giant tree trunk, right on the edge of the giant seal array. He knelt down and tapped the side of it, and another seal array appeared, encircling the side of the trunk like a belt. Itachi's eyes widened when he saw the rune in the center of the seal Aizen had activated.
Everyone! Get away from the water!
Too late, Aizen muttered. A torrent of lightning-natured chakra streaked across the water's surface. Even with the warning, none of them managed to get away in time. Even the ANBU squad waiting to ambush Aizen fell one by one.
Arg!
Naruto's eyes widened in fear.
Itachi!
Shursui!
Torai! Everyone!
Fortunately for them, the seal was very old and had not been properly maintained, thus it didn't kill them.
Naruto couldn't believe his eyes.
They were severely weakened, but they had all managed to survive.
Itachi, Shursui, and Tori had even managed to stand up on the water surface.
But at least Aizen couldn't attack them in that scale anymore, unless he...
You have...
Naruto's eyes widened when he noticed Aizen's katana had an electric current running through it.
Lightning affinity? Aizen finished in an amused tone.
Yes, all I have to do is dip my katana in this water and they're all dead. Naruto rose to his feet angrily, his right hand grasping 3 shuriken engraved with seals.
Don't you dare, Aizen. If you do, I will kill you, he hissed angrily. I know you have hostages because you can't kill me. You need me alive, so you're not the only one with an advantage here.
How perceptive, Aizen said sardonically as he sheathed his katana.
However, he shunshined and reappeared behind Itachi and Shursui.
Itachi swung his ninjato, but his reflexes were slowed from the last attack. Shursui reacted the same, but, before their weapons could strike Aizen, the Seal Master sent them sprawling into the tree trunk. Naruto threw his shuriken and watched his blade of wind form and soar through the air. Aizen dodged the incoming projectile with another shunshin and reappeared at his original position on the tree trunk.
Naruto was forced to stop his attack. Hinamori, Itachi and Shursui were too close to Aizen.
You? He gritted his teeth. Since the very beginning, Aizen had been expecting the ambush, and he had an advantage of knowing the terrain better than they did. They had advantage in number, but that was nullified the moment they were caught off guard by that lightning element seal.
Aizen smiled as he hoisted his sopping wet Uchiha cousins onto the wooden surface.
Naruto didn't have to be a genius to know what Aizen could do to them with a simple touch.
Now, I know that Hinamori is not that important to you.
Naruto was going to deny Aizen's accusation, but his blood ran cold when Aizen stabbed his katana right through Itachi's left arm. The Uchihas grunted in pain but didn't cry out. They were paralyzed from head to toe, but I know Itachi-kun is very precious to you.
Shursui-kun, too, he said as he stabbed Shursui's waist with a kunai. Itachi.
Shursui.
Naruto didn't miss the lightning element seal on both weapons, and he had no delusions they would survive if those weapons acted as a lightning rod for Aizen. Aizen! Torai roared. Let them go!
Itachi could feel himself slipping into unconsciousness. Naruto. If he passed out here, the battle was as good as lost.
Now I have 3 hostages, Aizen announced as he made a ram seal. Do you really think there's still a chance for you, Naruto-kun? Unseal the treasure.
Naruto fell on his knees, gritting his teeth as he realized his only option.
Fine, he shouted, his eyes closed as tears streamed down his face. Just don't hurt them anymore, please. Naruto-kun. Itachi shouted, gritting his teeth. Don't listen to him. Yeah. Shisui growled. Just kill this bastard. Don't mind us. Aizen scowled. These Uchiha brats were really annoying. You're very lucky I need you alive, Uchiha. He muttered sinisterly. But isn't your request cruel, he wondered out loud. Asking this poor Jinchuriki, who has been shunned his entire life, to abandon his friends? Shisui's eyes widened as he turned his attention to Naruto. The Jinchuriki was gritting his teeth, his fists clenched to the point blood was dripping onto the ground. Naruto, you. He has sacrificed so much for this village, Aizen stated with a sneer, but what has he gotten in return? Scorn, hatred, isolation, and you ask him to sacrifice both of you for this village? Haven't you asked him enough? Shisui shook his head. Naruto, don't listen to him. You don't want this. You can't do as he said just to.
Naruto bit his bottom lip, drawing a trail of blood down his chin.
Shut up. He hissed, there are many things I'd be willing to give for this village, but you and Itachi aren't it. Itachi gritted his teeth. How could they ask for more from this boy? He had already lost so much, and they asked him to lose more? Itachi glared at Aizen. If only he could get rid of this stupid lightning seal and recover from this paralysis. Kurama, help me, I can't let this bastard get away with this, Naruto said mentally to his tenant. This guy is really sneaky and I need him to get away from my friends, but the only way to do that is to activate the seal and attack him when he is distracted by his precious treasure. And for that, you're asking me how to call out an Uzumaki's special chakra? Kurama asked in disbelief. How should I know? But if it helps any, your mother's materialized as chains, and Mito's was a long dragon and sword. So, it's a type of chakra that materializes into some sort of weapon or animal? It's different for each person, but I suspect yours is the same as Kushina's, so try to visualize a chain or something. That's a pretty vague suggestion. Naruto murmured. I will try to call out my chakra again. His eyes narrowed at Aizen, as long as you keep your hands off of them. Aizen nodded. As long as you behave. He added with a sneer. Naruto gritted his teeth with eyes closed in absolute concentration as he formed a ram seal. He recalled the dreams he'd had on many occasions of thousands of rattling chains. He began hearing them, unsure and uncaring if he was just hallucinating out of desperation. He could feel a chakra pool into his navel, but, unlike his usual blue chakra or Kurama's red, it was yellow, or was it a pale orange? Gold? It didn't matter. He thought as he mentally reached out his hand to grab the phantom chains of his mind. His blue eyes glimmered as he opened them to stare at Aizen and his friends. He had to protect them, no matter what the consequences. The keyword is, a familiar feminine voice echoed in his mid. Seiyaku no Kusari, chain of pledge, protect my comrades, and chain down my foe. A chain of chakra erupted from his back and moved to the array of seals. Naruto gagged as he felt the chains trace the seal like a living being. The seal absorbed the blood on his bleeding fists and glowed the golden color of dawn. Naruto felt his chakra drain faster than ever, and if not for his status as Jinchuriki, he would have lost consciousness already. Chains of chakra, Aizen breathed out in amazement. How beautiful and befitting of your status. The blonde's eyes widened as a sprout grew unnaturally fast in the center of the seal. The leaves unfurled as its stem grew to his height, and Naruto could feel one final tug on his chakra as a bud of a flower appeared on the tip of the plant. The bud unfurled its petal, blooming into a fist-sized purple flower with an ominous orb glowing a sickly purple in the center. This is what you wanted? Naruto growled out, A purple rock? Aizen nodded.
It is valuable, now give it to me, Aizen demanded as he reached out.
Naruto, feeling extremely weakened, struggled to stand up.
Unfortunately, that took a toll on me, bastard, so take it yourself, he growled out.
I'm not going to touch this thing for you.
The older seal master sighed as he stepped forward.
What a troublesome disciple I have.
The Jinchuriki scoffed as he backed away to give Aizen enough space to take the treasure.
Don't call me that, you traitor, he hissed angrily.
Aizen chuckled softly as he leaned down to take his prize. His fingers brushed against the foul purple chakra before plucking the orb off of the flower.
Now!
Aizen's eyes widened when a hard metal was slammed into his chest, not deeply embedded, but then again, that wasn't the purpose.
You! Katan no Jujika Fuin, Fire Element Cross Seal. Naruto whispered as his lips curved up into a grin. Eat this, bastard.
He backed away quickly but not before kicking Aizen's hand. The purple orb rolled across the ground.
Quack!
Aizen screamed in pain as he tried to reach for his treasure. Unfortunately, a fire-powered shuriken blew him away, slamming him into the wall.
He slid down to the watery surface sluggishly. Itachi and Shisui looked at Naruto in disbelief. Good job, Naruto. Shisui congratulated.
Naruto sighed as he reached out to the rolling orb. Now let's
Naruto-kun, you did it.
Itachi smiled at the boy who was about to reach out for the purple orb, his eyes widened in horror. Naruto-kun.
Move. He saw a shadow looming over him and heard Itachi's panicked voice. He couldn't react in time.
A sharp pain was felt as a familiar katana nailed his hand to the ground before he could touch the dreaded treasure.
Hi. Hina, Morinizan? What are you?
He muttered in disbelief as the female seal master looked down on him, her hands gripping the handle of her katana firmly. Hand over the treasure, she said stoically with her eyes devoid of emotion like a lifeless doll.
It belongs to Aizen-sama.
That's it for the video. Comment ramen if you got this far and make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. See you guys later.